right, we're gonna be going live. I'm waiting for Miss Myisha. Just waving to some people that's joining in. So I'm just giving people a chance to join in. So this is the Thursday conversations from the throne. Anyone that's been following knows that for the month of June, I was dedicating all the podcast episodes to male guests. So, since I was dedicating the month of June to the male guests, I wanted to be consistent and have the live IG series to have the queens in. So, Miss Myisha is in, and I'm about to add her. And before I add her, I just want to. Myisha is she just has this great ball of energy. If you follow her page, it's called The Sequin Unicorn, and she's fabulous. And we recorded a great podcast episode that's going to be airing next Wednesday. Actually, I'll be publishing called Go Sparkle. So we're going to just have a nice little conversation and give you guys a nice preview. So I'm going to go ahead and add Miss Myisha. Hey, Erica. So let me add Myisha. In 1 second. So let's give her a second to join in. And thank you, everyone that's joining in. Hi, Queen. How
Hi!
are you doing? We both have our lips today.
Yes, girl. You know I love those earrings and that hat.
Thank you.
Send them all the way to New York when you're done.
I will. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. You know, it's a beautiful day. Another day to be grateful. A day filled with so much opportunity and potential. So I'm in good spirits.
That's awesome. That's always a good thing to be in good spirits, especially now. And I feel like being in good spirits kind of opens the segue for our awesome podcast that we recorded, which was Go Sparkle, which was to
Yes,
just be
ma'am.
happy and to still be unicorns no matter what. So I was just trying to give people a preview that's joining in. Obviously, I had dedicated the month of June to the Kings. So our episode is, I just can't wait to release it. And I just feel like it's super positive and it's nice and sparkly. Everyone will love it. So I just wanted to give everyone a nice preview to what we discussed. So obviously it's entitled Go Sparkle. And as I mentioned, I feel like anyone that looks at your page, they'll just feel happy, you know? Like I feel like you have just a wonderful energy, you know, and I just feel like having a good energy is really contagious, you know, and I'm very big on energy. So how, like you said you're feeling great. So what are you doing to just keep that positive energy going? Like, what are your suggestions too? Like, obviously this is a bleak time for everyone, but you know, I'm just a big believer in just not absorbing our circumstances. So what are your tips for people just logging in? I know this is a hard time for people, you know, to keep their spirits lifted.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's always important for us to acknowledge where we are and give ourselves the grace to experience. I think sometimes just naturally as women, and I think more so, you know, as Black women, I don't want to generalize for everybody, but I can speak for myself in conversations I've had with friends, is that we have kind of been reared in our DNA to just get through it, to just get by, to just keep going. And you know, I think in some ways that resilience and that perseverance is very inspiring, but it also doesn't give us a lot of runway to release.
Right.
And so, you know, whether it's going for a run or going for a walk or taking a hot bath or sitting down and watching a great comedy on Netflix or simply saying to people no and put your phone on do not disturb. And, you know, not bring it in, allow yourself to, you know, hand off that weight of a lot of the emotional impact of what we're going through. And I think another piece of it is to also reach out to friends, allies, family members, and let them know you need support or help. I think that's another thing. We're not always the easiest thing for us to do or the greatest at doing, but just to say, you know, I want to talk or I need a hug, you know, with a mask on, but
right, exactly. I agree with that. I know just personally, I've had like some highs and lows, you know, transparency moment. I've definitely had highs and lows since March. You know, this is a crazy time period, you know, and the virus affected my family closer than I would have anticipated. So just that alone, I just definitely had some highs and lows. And I know Mia is in on the live. And I know like one day, like a few weeks ago, a lot of people were sharing certain episodes in their lives that took place, you know, stories of racism. And I was
Yes.
reading them and I started to feel really sad and it was just really bothering me. So I had made a post, you know,
Yeah.
just being honest and transparent, which I don't necessarily do often at all because, you know, social media, I can go on and on all day about that. But, you know, I mentioned that. And, you know, a lot of people reached out to me. Some people inboxed me. One friend even called. Some people were commenting, you know.
Yes.
And Mia, for example, she mentioned, you know, hey, throw on some music, throw on something that's going to make you feel good. And it was so ironic that she said it because I literally did that evening. I went in the kitchen, made a meal, threw on some music, and poof, you know,
That's
I
right.
felt
I
better.
love that, Mia. I love that advice.
Right. So, you know, just like you said, just being transparent, sometimes it's just good to just reach out to people and just don't feel any embarrassment or anything. Just say, hey, you know, I do need some support. I just feel like there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel that's another way we can sparkle. So, what's an example too? Like, I guess, you know, that's a good example, just mentioning what I experienced. How
Yeah.
can we be unicorns and sparkle for our friends, you know, because obviously we definitely need to take care of ourselves, but I think in this time we also realize we do need one another. So what's your thoughts on just being there for other people, like how we can have some servitude to make our friends and family feel better?
Absolutely. Well, I always think that first and foremost, it's if someone is not like coming to you. So you did a beautiful job, right, of sharing your heart. And, you know, that's what I look at really for social media. I'm so glad that a lot of my posts connect with and inspire people. But
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people a lot of times I'm writing either how I'm feeling or what I need to hear and see. Because as I'm writing
Right.
it, it's inspiring me.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, a lot of times our friends, our family, our coworkers may not outwardly express the challenges that they're feeling or the emotions that they're feeling. So I
Mm-hmm.
always think first it's important, right, to ask for permission to cross that vulnerability barrier. You know,
Right.
sometimes whether it's moms or our good friends, it can sometimes feel intrusive and make us retract when people are like,
Mm-hmm.
"What's wrong with you? What's going on?" Right? We're like,
Right.
"Girl, you don't understand," you know? So
Right.
I think to just, you know, even though it's coming from a place of love, to maybe ask for permission to say, you know, are you comfortable talking? Or, you know, would you like to share what you're going through at this time? And just inviting them to share and be open
Mm-hmm.
to them saying, now's not a right time, but can I call you when I need you? And to
Right.
not take that as rejection, but say, absolutely, you call me when you need me. So I
Right.
think, you know, that's one piece. And then I think, you know, how do we continue to sparkle for others? You know, there's small, simple things that make a difference, like
Mm-hmm.
writing someone a handwritten note on
Right.
on a card that says thinking of you. And
Mm-hmm.
they go down to that mailbox to get another stack of them bills that we
Mm-hmm.
know we don't want or whatever. And then here's a beautiful envelope, right, with a
Mm-hmm.
handwritten note saying thinking of you. I mean, oh, it can just lift somebody's spirits, and it's so
Right.
simple and so
Right.
kind,
Mm-hmm.
and thoughtful. And then,
Right.
you know, I think just doing the random, like unexpected FaceTime or calls, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
people aren't always prepared. But again, just to remind that you're there, maybe to make people laugh. One thing
Mm-hmm.
that has been actually fun for me and a group of my girlfriends is, you know, getting together on Zoom and we watch, you know, Insecure or a movie. Everybody's on
Mm-hmm.
mute, but we feel like we're doing it
Yeah.
together. And,
Right.
you know, that's such a great way to feel, even if you don't want to talk about how you're feeling, having the community, especially in a time where we do feel disconnected, just makes us
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's a virtual hug.
Right.
So maybe inviting someone, you know, to participate in that.
It's so funny you mentioned insecure. I'm having withdrawals.
I know, girl.
Yeah.
I'm like, how long is it gonna be? Issa, what you doing, girl? Eat your
Right.
Wheaties.
Right. I will say, you know, it's slightly off topic, but I am, you know, just being honest, I'm having a lot of insecure withdrawals because
Yeah.
insecure really helped me during this time period because I love this show. I love Issa Rae. I've been waiting for season 4 for the longest. So I feel this is a time too where we don't have to be ashamed to say that we may love watching television, you know?
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
like we actually need TV now. We're quarantining. So just something as simple as that, just throwing on Netflix or throwing on Hulu and binging on some of your shows actually is a good distraction. Like I know definitely I actually started an IG group when Insecure started. And
Yeah.
so we have our special group chat, and we actually were zooming like on and off like every other Tuesday or so to discuss the episode. So,
Love it. I
so like,
love that.
and it's just a good way to connect with people, really fun, and I feel like I've met some new social media friends, that I can laugh with. So something that simple, I feel definitely helps, lift people's spirits. So one other aspect I want to talk about just with the whole just sparkle, and just having that energy, self-care. So obviously, this is a pandemic situation. So
Yeah.
self-care is kind of like difficult for some people. But what's your take on just the importance of making sure that we still keep, the routine of self-care? Because I think sometimes we don't realize how important it is, to keep our spirits high, just to have the self-care to, put on some makeup, do your face. Why not?
Right.
Even
Why
if you're at
not?
home, like it makes you feel good. So what's your take on just making sure people don't forget, to do, to make sure they have the routine of self-care, the importance of it?
It's, you know what? It's so important because, especially now with many of us having transitioned to working from home, teaching from home,
Mm-hmm.
being at home all the time,
Mm-hmm.
we actually don't realize that we're actually investing more hours than ever before into those activities. And it doesn't get us, it has really gotten us out of the routine of our normal cadence of, like you said, get up, do the makeup, get dressed, go to work.
Mm-hmm.
We've eliminated that. But even self-touch, a little massage, even looking at yourself in the mirror, really seeing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
being very present in your senses, not scarfing down the salad over the computer, which sometimes I do, but actually slowing down and eating your lunch is a form of
Mm-hmm.
self-care. Like you
Right.
said, get up in the morning and, some people would say, oh, no one's going to see me. I said, but every time you go in the bathroom, wash your hands, you're going to see you.
Right.
So present your best self, that self that makes you smile. Um,
Right.
for us, we love a little makeup. We have that creative makeup artistry side.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Right.
it's something fun, too, that stimulates the mind when you get creative. So,
Mm-hmm.
listen, that is a good thing that nobody will see you. So try that crazy eyeshadow color or
Right.
that lip color that never thought you'd try before.
Right.
And that's going to release positive energy in yourself because activated your creativity and you challenge yourself and you put yourself outside of your comfort zone.
Right.
Um, I always stress skincare and still
Mm-hmm.
taking care of skin. And especially when we are in, recycled air environments,
Mm.
not getting a lot of fresh air in, our skin actually starts to show the
Right.
impact of that.
Mm-hmm.
And for all women, it's important to keep the skin healthy and taken care of. But especially for Black women, when
Oh
we
yeah.
start to get breakouts,
Mm-hmm.
we have what's called post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation,
Oh
dark
yeah.
marks.
Right.
And I always say, prevent that.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of your skin. Keep it balanced. Keep those oil
Right.
productions, at a balanced level that will help prevent breakouts and keep the
Mm-hmm.
skin radiant and healthy. And
Right.
as you're doing your skincare, you're massaging yourself, you're pampering yourself, and all of that just releases stress and
Right.
reminds you of your value. So self-care is important. I set a timer,
Mm-hmm.
and what's helped me is kind of a life hack, and everybody can do this on their phones.
Mm-hmm.
I have certain hours where my phone closes all the apps, the do not disturb time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, I remember the first few times I would not even realize it. Like subconsciously, I'm like, dang, ain't nobody caring about me. I'm like, I'm not getting no text on that. And then I realized it was because the timer had cut everything off. But you
Right.
know what? In that time, I was at peace. To your point, I'm sitting
Mm-hmm.
back, I'm watching Insecure with my face mask on,
Yes.
or I'm cuddling with my dog,
Mm-hmm.
and which you'll be able to experience soon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you can just be so fully present
Right.
in your energy and your spirit and your light, which then means you have more to give to all
Yeah.
of those who love you and depend on you.
I'm glad you stressed that because you're right. I think, and not to eliminate anyone else, but yes, as Black women, I feel like we have that extra pressure in general. I feel like even as young children, we're already, it's embedded in our minds. We're conditioned that we have to take on so much, And I think it's very easy for us to forget that it's okay to put ourselves first. It's not, I noticed once I hit 40, I had to really condition myself to realize making certain decisions for myself was not an act of being selfish. You
Right.
know, and even if it is considered selfish, if I don't pour into myself, what do I have for anyone
Right.
else?
Right.
And even if I'm the only person that is benefiting from my choices currently, that is still more than enough
Yeah.
because, just to value yourself. Everyone that follows the key chat knows what I say all the time is go love yourself. I don't
Yes.
think there's a day that I don't stress that because it took a long road for me to realize the importance of loving yourself, valuing yourself. And then especially as a mother, I've always, I have to do this for my children. Instead of realizing the best gift I can give to my kids is being my best self, being
Yeah.
the best version of myself, being the healthiest I can be, being the happiest, being the most creative. This benefits me and it does benefit, my circle and my energy. So I just think it's so important that we just look at ourselves and self-care. And then right now, of course, we all have this time. So we have this extra time.
Yes.
And I've mentioned too, even with Therese Sherrill that was on the show, when we did a podcast episode, I said, imagine if we viewed time as literally like an instrument and something extremely fragile. I feel like if we value time more, that also pours into how we love ourselves and how we spend our time because we truly value, okay, well, I don't have all this time to take for granted. So I just think that's
Right.
another important thing. With the pandemic, how did you feel as far as connecting? Did you get to a period where you felt like there were certain areas of your life that you maybe before the pandemic that you didn't realize maybe lacked as far as the care or amount of time you put into things? Did you feel like there were certain things that you just looked at differently once the pandemic started, whether it's with your career, family, friends, health, possibly? Were there certain things that you looked at differently once the pandemic started and you put more time into? And then on the flip side, were there certain things that you may have said, hey, this isn't as important as I thought, once the pandemic started?
You know, when, we were kind of forced to isolate at
Mhm.
first,
Mhm.
I was like, oh no, I'm an
Mhm.
extrovert. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to be crawling out of my skin. And then I was like, I started spending some time like redecorating
Mhm.
and, packing things up and donating and like, resetting my schedule because instead of commuting or rushing to airports, I could go for long walks.
Mhm.
And as much as I love people, I'm like, maybe I'm more of a extroverted introvert because I
Yeah.
ain't mad at this right now.
Right.
So that was a little surprising to find that, what I thought would bring on a sense of loneliness and isolation, I actually felt more full, more abundant, and really recharged in a
Mhm.
lot of ways. And I realized I had taken for granted. And when I kind of looked at even my calendar, right? And I know we all
Mhm.
are like, why do we even buy a 2020 planner? But I went back to my cute little 2020 planner that I had, and I looked ahead at all the things I had scheduled, but I had not put down any vacation time.
Mm.
And what I realized is that similar to the self-care, but the reinvestment in self to
Mhm.
slow down, to, cleanse your space, reorganize and fluff the nest,
Mhm.
to spend some time, like you said, being selfish in a way, to reset and be better for others was
Mhm.
actually very valuable to me. So
Right.
going forward, now that I've been through this, my new philosophy on things is that I will not accept withdrawals without
Mm.
deposits
Right.
because I realized that I had significantly overdrafted myself.
Mm.
And I can't even imagine where I might have been health wise,
Mhm.
mentally, irritated maybe at small things,
Right.
disconnecting from people because I was constantly allowing withdrawals, even
Mhm.
myself, going back to the ATM of energy
Right.
and allowing people to take, allowing myself to take, allowing my work schedule and all that to take without making a deposit back into myself.
Right.
So that's my key takeaway. And I've just been sharing that to empower other people to say that not only in, we don't need a crisis
Mm-hmm.
to empower us to say, hey, even with friendships, I
Right.
think it probably turned a light on a lot of things of like, wait a minute, I just realized I'm probably always the one inviting and planning and
Right.
reaching out.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, no more withdrawals, honey, because the ATM is overdrafted and
Right.
I need a little loving
Mm-hmm.
before I can continue to give. So, I think that's really my key takeaway. And so
Mm-hmm.
now I've plotted out, actual a little bit more vacation time. I'm reassessing relationships. I'm
Mm-hmm.
balancing things more. And I can't wait to see what I rack up in my energy bank account.
Yes.
Maybe I get some interest,
Yes.
now that
Yes.
I am being a little bit more conscious of that.
And I love that analogy. And I know, and this is a sneak peek for people that will listen to our episode next week. When you use that analogy during the recording, I was like, oh my God, that is just such a perfect way to relate,
Yeah.
withdrawals or deposits. And I think that's another thing too, what I feel goes into loving yourself. I think sometimes we feel like we have to hold on to certain people or certain things or certain habits that do not make a deposit into us, that doesn't serve us, and I think that's
Yes.
just something that I just feel like when we don't have that true love for ourselves, we just don't know sometimes to set that boundary or just to say that, it's okay if I realize that this particular friendship is really draining me or depleting me or making withdrawals, as you mentioned, and not
Yep.
making any deposits. Or on the flip side, hey, this particular person means a lot to me, but now that I've thought about it, maybe I haven't, reciprocated what they've given to
Yes.
me, and I think it takes bigger people to acknowledge that sometimes, okay, I need to be more diligent on having some reciprocity with this particular individual, so I just think that
Absolutely.
all, works together. I just feel like with self-love and self-care, we also need to make more efforts in saying, hey, this particular person may not work for me, but this one should. Or this particular relationship, I definitely do need to make a bigger effort in. Or this particular habit, just even with our eating habits, I feel. Obviously, we're at home a lot, so, it's kind of easy to just sit there and say, hey, I'm going to throw on, some Insecure on the HBO app, start from season 1 and just eat away.
Yes, it
Not,
is very, very easy to do and get lost in it. But it's
right.
like even making conscious decisions to say, I was talking to someone, was like, okay, we want something sweet,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it's the perfect season. Summer fruit, get your little fruit plate, a fruit bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the value of slowing down and back to what you talked about earlier, which is so important. Self-care
Right.
is about being present. And
Yes.
when you're present and you slow down and you think about what's best for self, I think
Right.
it's, that's where you said the selfish part is so important and key.
Yes.
And you never know who's watching. I always say,
Right.
you are a role model
Mm-hmm.
sometimes to the invisible. Not that
Correct.
they're invisible,
Mm-hmm.
but that you never know who's looking up, looking at, looking around, and looking
Right.
for you to inspire.
Right.
So good self-care, really could lead someone else to value themselves and reflect on their behaviors and self-treatment more too.
You're right. Just like the saying, it takes a village. But I think, we can use that statement more than just the thought process of raising children. But it does take a village, and it takes a village in general. Just like, I mean, that's how this whole journey with me started. On my personal page, I would just post inspirational quotes or memes. They weren't even mine. And I would just do it on a regular basis if I thought it seemed like something that was really good to share and something that I really felt I would post it. So then it got to the point where different people were inboxing me at different times, like, oh my God, like I really, can you tag where you got that from? I really needed that. It was becoming
Yeah.
a regular habit. And I was like, wow, if I can inspire people reposting something I didn't say, imagine what I can do if I share my own story.
Share your
And-
heart. Yeah.
right. And just having, that sincerity just catapulted to where we are now. And I literally get people who I may post something, I'll say something, or just with the podcast, obviously, that's the
Yes.
perfect way to empower people. I get people that will message, oh, I really, really needed that. That really helped me. And it touches me. So, helping
Right.
other people too also helps ourselves too. So it is like, we could have that community, thought process, like that we're all helping one another. I think that also lifts people's spirits. And that's also another good way to sparkle, of course. So
Absolutely.
I know you mentioned we both have, the beauty background. So, but
Yes.
just career wise, how do you feel like just right now, just with sparkling, with the whole pandemic, the time that you've had, and just your whole, like I said, I love your energy. So just your energy in general. We can take it, outside of the pandemic, but just your energy in general. How do you feel like you're able to sparkle and be that unicorn in the career world too? As an African American woman, at being unique. How do you feel that sparkle has helped you, career wise, and to just have a career that also has made you happy? Because I feel like that's another thing I discuss a lot. I feel like we don't realize work doesn't have to be horrible. Work doesn't
Right.
have to be stressful. Work doesn't have to drive your blood pressure up. Work shouldn't drive you to a heart attack. It
Right.
seems
Right.
lighthearted, but believe it or not, I mean, I was in that situation where I dreaded work. I had
Right.
anxiety. So, how do you feel just your energy and just your whole uniqueness? How has that helped you succeed in the career world, to be happy and to do something that you love?
Well, I think first, I love to say to young people who are
Mm-hmm.
beginning that, you know, building a house, building a foundation takes a lot of hard work, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not the glamorous work.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's so important to know who you are and what you may love, but
Right.
don't underestimate working your way up, around, or through
Mm-hmm.
experience. So
Right.
some of those earlier jobs and roles I had, I mean, were they the most glamorous? No. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I was working in beauty retail and they were like, okay, whose night is it to clean the bathrooms? I was like, Lord, why I go to, I went to Xavier to get a degree to do this. But that was only a small part of it. But all
Mm-hmm.
of that, from the responsibility to the teamwork,
Mm-hmm.
to, learning actually through it all what you really like. So for example, the nights that I was responsible for closing up the store, let's say, I
Mm-hmm.
really realized, I was like, so I like the color and the creativity, but the responsibility piece of remembering the code for the alarm and all of that stuff, I'm like, whoo, that gave me a lot of anxiety. So that's something I'm glad I had the experience, but I'm checking that off
Right.
the list as
Right.
something that's going to be in the next stage. So I just want to empower and inspire young people to know that, just because where you are is not where you'll always be, but
Right.
do not shy away or put your nose up or dismiss entry level and growth opportunities.
Right.
And we kind of go into this in our podcast
Mm-hmm.
episode too.
Yeah.
But even when hitting the reset on self,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you are 30, 40, you might be 60, saying
Right.
to yourself, what will really bring me joy?
Yes.
What can what gifts am I not utilizing?
Mm-hmm.
And when making a pivot, again, be okay that you may have to
Yeah.
start in a place different than where you feel your experience has gotten you with that other path, but
Yes.
be open to each of those stepping stones being tremendous chapters of learning in your
Mm-hmm.
book, and you will be more armed for where you want to go. So I just want to say that, because I hear that a lot from young people. They're like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be doing, I want to get where I want to get. I'm like, well,
Right.
we gotta get
They
there.
want it to happen overnight.
Right. But I think, I also then, in being young and learning,
Mm-hmm.
and dressing the way I thought I should dress, doing my hair the way I felt it made people feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Even, trying to like mimic how people talked, I'm like, oh, this is how we talk in a corporate meeting, right?
Right.
Like, and what's so interesting is that that's hard to maintain because it's not authentic to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in a moment where, we all may have that, the moment where we think, again, no one is looking, or we feel our
Right.
free moment in that instance, and talking with coworkers over a project. And I really let myself go for a moment to be myself. And you
Mm-hmm.
could almost, it's like in a movie where the music stops and they were like, like, where has this person been the whole time?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it empowered me in a way I can't, really put into words, except it was just almost like a warm fire coming through and up and pulling
Mm-hmm.
me up by my shoulders to say that being me
Mm-hmm.
is always going to be more valuable to the organization and to myself than
Yes.
ever trying to be somebody else.
Right.
And that did not come to me overnight. So I want to
Oh,
just,
yeah.
reassure people who are like still trying to figure it out and
Mm-hmm.
get a sense and a feel, but just take baby steps. For example,
Right.
if maybe you think you should dress a certain way, try adding a little color,
Mm-hmm.
or just
Mm-hmm.
try adding maybe a textured or a polka dot or something shirt under your, pantsuit. If you feel like,
Mm-hmm.
just try that. Or, perhaps, raise your hand in a meeting if you've been quiet because you just don't know if you should
Right.
speak up or you have good ideas. You may have
Mm-hmm.
butterflies in your stomach. You might even be
Yes.
feeling a little lightheaded. But I guarantee you, when you raise your hand and share that idea, it'll give you the courage to know you're worthy and to do it
Yes.
again and again. So
Yes.
you don't have to jump right away
Mm-hmm.
into self and into yourself, your sparkle fully. But
Right.
I think, give it a step at a time, and I'm confident you'll discover that being who you are, showing
Mm-hmm.
up fully as you are,
Yes.
it'll bring you so much more joy and make you so much more effective in the role that you have. And sometimes then that brings the light. I love what you
Yes.
said. You don't work doesn't have to suck or be hard.
Right.
But I think sometimes when we're either not doing something that brings us joy, or we're doing
Mm-hmm.
something but we're not fully ourselves, we
Right.
aren't really able to see the
Mm-hmm.
light.
Right. And it adds that unnecessary stress. And it's just
Yes.
so funny you said that because, like, I've always been transparent about in the podcast. Like, I was in the payroll industry for like 5, 6 years. And it started off really rocky, but then it got to this plateau where I was getting all these projects. The owner of the company really liked me, and I was getting awards, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, your energy is so great." And I would hear this to the point that I was like, I really could care less how these people get paid. And I was like, what they're picking up on is the fact that I do like connecting with people. So even though I was doing something where I'm not a numbers person, but I was doing numbers. I'm not a tax person, but I was doing taxes,
Yeah.
but I'm doing these things like a robot. But they were picking up on the fact that I did like talking to clients, and I had like the highest client survey rate because they did like talking to me, even though I technically really didn't care what was going on, but I was just so eager to talk to someone and to still help someone and to make them laugh while we were talking. All the people in my office will always say, "You're like so funny. You're so funny. Like you really could be a professional comedian." And little did they know, I had to be that like office clown to get me through 8 to 5.
Right.
If I
Right.
didn't crack a joke, I probably would have never lasted as long as I did there. But just
Right.
as you
Right.
mentioned, just having that confidence too, and just realizing, also receiving that joy. Like I love how you just said, just to find that joy, but to also just realize that it's okay to start over. It's okay to realize your value in your work. It got to the point where I really had to have like a come to Jesus moment with myself, like, how long are you going to sit in a closed room? And our office had like no windows or anything. It was
Oh
really
no,
like
child.
so
Mm-mm.
drab. Like the colors of the building were great. So
Yeah.
it
No.
got to the point where I had to realize, and mind you, like I said, I was having anxiety. I was going to the doctor for like a few months because I literally had no energy and I thought something was wrong with me. So like
Right.
I was going to the doctor regularly, like what is wrong? Like literally having blood tests drawn because I'm like, I'm exhausted and something's not right. And I finally had to have like a come to Jesus moment with myself and say, how long are you going to sit in this drab room and basically work for compliments from other people and not
Mm.
utilize this energy that they're saying that you have? Like the same
Yep.
energy could form other dreams. So it really, and like you said, it wasn't overnight. I didn't just wake up on December 7th,
Right.
at 5 o'clock and say, oh, I'm just going to leave. No, it
Right.
took months. I literally would wake
Yes.
up in the morning and say, I'm stuck here. There's no way I can leave, but it took a journey, okay, to put it that way, to sit
Yes.
there and say, okay, maybe I do have the tools I need to see where this is going to go. I need to see where my energy, this great energy that I keep getting compliments on, I need to see how this energy can work for myself to get that joy, and how I can even help others to reach out to people, because I know other people deal with the same thing. So that's something I
Yeah.
always try to stress to people too. Goes back to go love yourself. If you love yourself, you value yourself. And also, by valuing yourself, you also realize your worth, as you mentioned. And you also realize what you're good at too. And
Yes.
how you can accomplish those dreams, that you don't have to be afraid to step out. But also, on the flip side too, it is okay to reset, as you said, and start over. Okay, if you have to take what you think is an entry level, but it's not necessarily a step down if this is your first step to
Yeah.
that dream,
It's
to
your
that
step
career.
forward to your destiny. And
Exactly.
that's so important. I love what you said, because in your time in the role, in your payroll role, I say to people, and you've heard this probably time and time again. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't come up with this, but
Mm-hmm.
go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. And
Right.
I feel
Yes.
like too often we stay in something that we tolerate,
Yes.
but that does not give us something to celebrate.
Right.
And I think now we're in an era, right? We're in this gig economy.
Mm-hmm.
Entrepreneurialism is on the
Yes.
rise, because
Yes.
we don't want to just tolerate how we go to work every day. We want to
Right.
celebrate how we show up for work every day. And I
Exactly.
just commend you, Beauty, for stepping out, stepping into your power in the time that it took you to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And now every day you live a life that celebrates you, and then gives other people, if they needed it, the permission to celebrate themselves. And that
Right.
is the magic of pushing past the fear to move towards that destiny of what you are here to give and to deliver to others.
Exactly. I just feel like each and every single one of us, we have a gift. We have a purpose. And sometimes it's not that easy to find what your gift is. I was
Yeah.
always the kid when I was, in school. I knew how to draw. I knew how to write really well. When I went to college, I actually majored in English. My mother was actually like, I think you should major in art, because I drew, like, they loved how I drew. Like, I was just talking to my dad yesterday, who's 81 years old, and he mentioned, yeah, you as a kid, you drew really nicely. And I was like, wow, he actually remembered that. But I would draw constantly, so I had different avenues. I even went to cosmetology school at one point, when I was a teenager, and even as an adult, I'm like, you know what? That was actually the happiest I was at. But I was pressured by my family at one point. Well, what about your college degree, and
Right.
what
Put
about
the degree
school?
to work. Yep.
Right. When you're smart, and it's like, okay, I can be a smart hairstylist.
Yes, honey, you can be a smart hairstylist. You can be a
Right.
smart skincare entrepreneur. You can be a smart
Exactly.
podcaster. You can be a college
Right.
educated hair braider. Okay, I mean,
Right.
listen, you can live your life. I was telling you, I got my earrings, Oscar
Mhm.
of New Orleans
Mhm.
handcrafted earrings.
Mhm.
I just think that it is a time of awakening for
Yes.
many of us. And
Yes.
though we're so grateful for our ancestors, for our
Mhm.
grandparents,
Yes.
for the challenges that they had to overcome, because
Mhm.
choices were limited.
Right.
And it doesn't matter our backgrounds, whether we are from a family of immigrants, or
Mhm.
Black families, or Asian, or Indigenous. There were limited choices for people, and they did
Right.
incredible things with that.
Mhm.
And today, I actually think it would, behoove us to now honor that
Yes.
legacy,
Yes.
and utilize the gifts that have been gifted to us through our
Mhm.
DNA and our,
Mhm.
our, our rearing, and ask, what more can I do?
Right.
And I think, I remember Oprah a while ago saying that, um, on one of her podcasts, that, like, you may not have it all at one time,
Mhm.
but life is like chapters.
It is
And if you
definitely.
think about, okay, what's going to be in my next chapter, you might
Mhm.
podcast today, and not saying that you're going to walk away from it, because we can't handle that. You got to stick around. But you might get back to the drawing maybe in your
Mhm.
next chapter. You
Right.
might teach podcasting in your
Mhm.
next chapter, or whatever the
Right.
case may be. And so I think that's so inspiring, to think of life less as like key timeline moments and key,
Yes.
responsibilities, and more like
Mhm.
endless chapters of joy.
Right, right. Now, everyone that's joining in, I want to end something with Myisha before she goes. And after she leaves, I'm going to round out with my thoughts on a post I did earlier about thirsty. But before you leave, because I know you're a busy bee, and I'm so grateful that you were able to give me this time. But I did something special in our episode, as I mentioned, which I'm going to be incorporating in future episodes. So obviously the brand is Go Queen, and we went over this in the podcast. So before you go, and I'm seeing some awesome comments here, and Miss Sandra, if you're still in, I know you mentioned you're enjoying the episodes. You can go to my page. You can view all the previous recordings, including this one. This will be up to. But before you leave, Myisha, I have to let you end this by defining, how do you define a queen for all my viewers right now?
I really loved when you asked me that question in our podcast discussion. I thought it was really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm going to leave that goodie for that. But
Mm-hmm.
I just think in the current times of what we have all seen and experienced and, have endured, I think being a queen is really about being conscious and aware of what you need
Mm-hmm.
and being okay with asking someone else to straighten your crown
Mm-hmm.
when you need that support,
Right.
and realizing that we are always greater together.
Yes.
And, a queen rules over a kingdom, but I
Mm-hmm.
think it's more that the kingdom supports the strength and the light of the queen.
Mm-hmm.
So a true queen reaches out her hand and extends herself to be vulnerable and open and supported in her journey and in her leadership. So that's how I would define it today with perspective,
Mm-hmm.
based on really where we're at in current times and the energy of the day.
Awesome. So you guys heard it. So all my queens that are viewing right now, that's something I just want to drive to everyone. Just even every day, if you can just have a moment to think, what actions have I taken today that have brought out the queen that's living inside of me? I'm very big on queens, obviously, because I do feel we are descendants of royalty. I'm very big on that. We're kings, we're queens, we are prince and princesses, for our younger generation. And I just want people to really have that mindset and understand, like, you are special. But every single day, I want every single lady that's watching this, every single day. I don't care if it's you putting on, beating your face,
Yes.
whatever it is that has brought you closer to being a queen that day, to please take that mindset with you. So thank you
Yeah.
so much, Miss Myisha.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
thank you, thank you,
Oh, what
Queen.
a joy. What a joy. I'm so grateful to now call you friend
I
and
really
to have,
appreciate it.
you in my life, and all of your amazing followers who are listening tonight. You're now officially family in my life. So come play with the Sequin Unicorn anytime. And I continue, wish you continued success, love, and light, my friend. You're doing
Thank you.
amazing, amazing, amazing things.
Thank you. Be safe. And everyone, you guys will hear the podcast next week. Thank you, Myisha.
Thank you.
Bye bye. So, for everyone that's still watching, I'm going to end the show today. But thank you guys so much for joining. Sandra, I see you. I want to find your profile after the episode is over. I'm not sure if we're following each other, but I definitely want to connect with you. And I know there were some other comments I probably missed. I don't think it locks the comments after it's over. So definitely, Sandra, if you're still in, definitely you can view all the past episodes. Like I said, this one will be available too as soon as I end it out. But how I want to round out this episode, so anyone who is following the Queen's Lot Collection page, I've actually been doing something new for the past few days. I've been posting some daily crown jewels. So what I want to do with that is just post some inspiration every single day. As I said, I'm big on go love yourself. I'm big on the whole notion of being a queen. So every single day for the past few days, I have been posting inspirational things just to remind you guys that, like I said, you are the greatest. Just like Muhammad Ali said, whatever you want to achieve, you can do that. So today I posted something that said, to realize, be obsessed with your own potential, which that was something that actually was posted by Real Talk Kim, who I actually love too. So when I posted that, I also I piggybacked on it and I added a little twist in the comments for Thirsty Thursday. And I posed the question to everyone that saw the post, are you thirsty? And I know that a lot of people use the whole perception of thirsty, that terminology, as kind of, derogatory, but I wanted to flip the script on that. Are you thirsty? I have no problem saying I'm extremely thirsty. Guess what? I'm thirsty to achieve my dreams. I'm thirsty to be 100% self-employed. I am thirsty for that peace. I'm thirsty for that joy that Myisha just mentioned. I'm thirsty to connect with people. I'm thirsty to make a difference in my life and in others' lives. And I'm thirsty to connect and to let people know that you are a queen, that you're the ultimate privilege, the prize, the package. I like to connect with people, and I'm thirsty to let people know, guess what? You better have that thirst for your potential. You better have that thirst to chase what it is that's going to catapult you to the next level. Whatever that dream that you have, are you thirsty for it? If you're not thirsty for it, what are you doing right now? What steps are you taking to get closer to achieving that dream? So once again, I wanted to flip the script on the whole notion of being thirsty. One thing that we need to do as women in general is, and if there's any men, not, taken away, but, one thing we need to do as women in general, we need to take away power to negative things. We need to remove the power to anything that's negative. And we need to give power to positive things. So I'm flipping the script on that. Are you thirsty? Are you ready to achieve your dreams? Are you ready to achieve that career that you want? Like I see Miss China the Writer's in. She's an excellent author and she writes books. Are you thirsty to write that book that you've been wanting to write? I see I have a few entrepreneurs in here. Are you thirsty to take your business to the next level? There's some people that may watch this podcast, or I'm sorry, that may watch this follow-up live or listen to my podcast, that are still in situations working for companies that, as Myisha mentioned, you're more tolerated, you're not celebrated. They really don't care about you, but you're in your mind, you're feeling like, oh, well, I have to do this. I cannot leave. You have this dream broom, but you don't even know where to start. Are you thirsty enough to take that risk, to accomplish that goal, to make that dream happen? Like China said, I'm parched. Me too. I'm dehydrated. Okay. I'm ready and I am thirsty to connect. I'm thirsty to build Gold Queen. I'm thirsty to keep connecting with people like China, with people like Diva Chu, with people like Myisha. Myisha, and one final funny thing I want to say about Myisha, actually, when I looked at her page, I was like, wow, like she seems really awesome. I'm looking at the page and I followed her, right? And inside of me, I was like, gee, she probably would be really good on the podcast. And I was like, I should inbox her. But then I was like, I don't want to seem too thirsty and bombard this woman and send her a random message. So I didn't do it. Guess what happened about 5 minutes later? I got an inbox message. Guess who that inbox message was from? It was from Myisha. She looked at the page and she contacted me and asked, would it be okay to be on the show? And I'm like, of course. So I don't know if it was the universe, the cosmos, God, somebody connected us for whatever reason. But the point is, let's say I was too scared and didn't contact her. And let's say she didn't contact me, we would have never connected. So that's my whole point. Have that thirst. Okay. So of course, when she messaged me and she asked, could she be on the show? I'm like, okay, yes, of course. I will bend over backwards to make that time happen because that's someone I wanted to connect with. And I knew she had that positivity. And I knew she had that positivity that would be perfect for the Queen community. Okay. For the people that follow me and for the people that follow the podcast or follow the IG page. I knew that she was the right person to go ahead and take that message that I try and reiterate to people every single day. And I knew she would be able to be that quarterback and take that message and run with it. But imagine if I didn't have the thirst. Now, mind you, like I said, I was afraid. I was like, oh, I'm not going to inbox her. But imagine if I didn't even bother to follow the page in the first place. But the beautiful thing is we did connect. And now we're here. And just even with the Q chat. So the Q chat, actually, the podcast is making a year in August. So I do have some awesome, great things that are lined up, which I will be announcing in about a week or so. But even with the Q chat, last August, I decided to do the podcast. I did like 4 episodes by December. The episodes sucked. Okay. I'm just being honest. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just knew I wanted to have the podcast, to have that extension of the Go Queen brand. And I figured, what's a better way to extend a message than to do a podcast? Podcasts are popular, obviously, and that's a way to get your message across. But at the time, I couldn't find people to be on it. I could never find the time to schedule when I wanted to record something. I couldn't find anyone that would want to talk to me on it. Fast forward, what day is this? Let me not try and do the date, but June 25th. I've recorded over 50 episodes. I'm at the point now where I have to add a calendar link to my email for people to schedule when they want to record, because that's how many people I'm getting that's responding to me, that are messaging me, that I'm not even seeking out, saying, hey, do you mind if I record with you? Of course. I can't really, it would have to be like, I don't know, Donald Trump or something for me to say no. But I can't think of any reason why I would tell anyone no at this point. But I'm just saying how that shift took place because I remained thirsty. If I had given up January 2020 because, like, oh, well, I only have 4 episodes, I'm having trouble finding people. If I had stayed negative, and if I had just not been thirsty to achieve my goals, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I wouldn't have met the people that I've met. I wouldn't have been able to have a message that has reached people, and mind you, if I just reach one person that says, I keep looking at this chick from New Orleans and oh my God, every day she's saying, go love yourself. And all of a sudden I started thinking, wow, I will start treating myself better. All because I keep watching this chick that says it every day. That's more than enough for me. Okay. But just as Myisha mentioned too, where we inspire people and we don't realize it. You know, we just like Diva Chew, she posts these funny things every day, and they're not all funny. Like she'll say things, she'll post things that's motivational. But there's some days where, hey, you may be feeling down and just growing to this particular profile who you can depend on getting something that's going to put a smile on your face. They may not even realize how important that means to the next person. So don't sleep on your potential. Don't sleep on your purpose. Make sure you stay thirsty, because I promise you that thirst is going to lead you to achieving that dream, accomplishing that goal. And don't ever feel bad if you have to reset. Okay, don't nothing is ever a step down. And that's another plug to the podcast episode with Myisha, which will be premiering next Wednesday on July the 1st. But never think you're taking a step down. If you have to reset, just look at it as an extra step to get you closer to that dream. If I have to take 99 steps to get to my dream, if I know at the end of that 99 step is the pinnacle to open the door to my dream, guess what? I'm going to start at step number 1 and take those 99 steps to open that door to my dream, because my dream is on the other side of that 99 step. So I have no problem starting at step number 1 and getting to where I need to be to get who I am. And resets are 100% necessary, because guess what? Sometimes we have to reset our spirit. We got to reset our mind. We have to reset our company. We have to reset our habits. So resetting is always a good thing. Just like when the computer acts up, what do we have to do? We reboot it. If your computer has too much data on it, guess what? We got to remove certain things. And I'm big on that. So once again, like I said, I can go on all day, but thank you guys so much for joining another episode of the Conversation for the Throne, from the Throne. Make sure you guys follow the Key Chat page and also follow the Queen's Law _ collection. That is the page where I will be posting the daily crown jewels just to inspire everyone. And next week, we'll be back for the Conversations from the Throne. Thank you guys. If you have any questions, just inbox me. I mean, I'm very active on social media. Just inbox me and I'll get back to you. But make sure you guys follow Myisha's page, the Sequin Unicorn. If you go to any of my profile pics and posts regarding this Conversation for the Throne, you'll see the tag to get to her page. But thank you guys so much for having a conversation from the throne. And remember, be a queen no matter what circumstance that you're in every single day. Make sure that you are a part of the definition of a queen. Define a queen in the way that fits best for you, and stay thirsty and find your purpose. Thank you.